how I took my melasma from this to this and how I maintain my results. Hi everybody, welcome back. So today I want to talk about melasma. If you are a newer follower of mine, then you might not know that melasma is something that I have struggled with for the past 10 years, but for the past 3 years or so, I have really been able to keep it at bay. I'm going to tell you what works for me. Everybody is going to be very different when it comes to melasma, but I feel like I have tried pretty much everything and I figured out what I think is like the perfect melasma cocktail for myself to keep my melasma at bay all year round. And now, as you can see, it's not really something that I struggle with too much anymore. But for a while there, it was awful. So about 10 years ago, I was on vacation with a girlfriend and we were laying by the pool and we were just chatting and she looked at me and she said, "Oh, you have some dirt on your forehead." And I was like, "Oh, weird." And I was like wiping my forehead and she was like, "No, the dirt is still there." And I was like, "Okay, I'll deal with it later." So we get back up to the hotel room and I'm like, "Oh my God, what is on my forehead?" It's like a patch of dirt that won't go away. I was scrubbing my face. It wasn't leaving. And then when we got back from vacation, the spot was darker and I was like, what is this? Now this is 10 years ago. I didn't really use any skincare. I hope I wore sunscreen, but I can't promise that I wore sunscreen. Like skincare was not a part of my life. So I made an appointment with a dermatologist and he was like, "Oh, you got melasma. Like you've got melasma." So that's when I started using everything under the sun for melasma. I tried 4% hydroquinone bleaching pads. It did nothing. I tried every form of topical skincare. Nothing worked. Then we started doing some light laser treatments. That really helped a lot, but it did not last. Melasma is hormonal. It always comes back. So the best you can do with it is keep it at bay. And laser treatments are tricky because you can flare. You can make the melasma worse, and heating the skin is not a great thing. However, my dermatologist, I feel like, is such a genius with these like very light laser treatments, and they really work well for my melasma. Certainly don't recommend it for everybody, but for me, it works. And it was a great short-term solution, but then a couple months later, the melasma would be right back on my face. So I was like, I've got to figure this out. In 2020, I started using Cispera, which is cysteamine. That is an awesome cream. It is very pricey. It smells like rotten eggs. You put it on your skin at night. The dirtier the skin, the better, my dermatologist said. So I would like put it on top of my makeup. I think you wait 10 minutes and then you wash it off. And it did help my melasma. Not fully, but like I would say my melasma got like 40% better using Cispera. And that's something that I recommend to a lot of people nowadays. If they do not want to use hydroquinone, I say try a cysteamine product, something like Cispera, or I have here Centay cysteamine cream. Awesome. These are pricier than the hydroquinone that I use, but cysteamine is safe for long-term use. You don't have to worry about it the way you do with hydroquinone, which is not safe for long-term use. So in 2021, I joined TikTok. And even when I wouldn't be talking about anything that had to do with melasma, I would get comments that would say, Jillian, like your melasma is crazy. And a couple people said, "Have you tried muesli?" I had never heard of it. I Googled it. I saw that it was only $60. So I asked Dr. Claire, my dermatologist, to check it out. She did. She gave me the thumbs up. She was like, "Well, this is hydroquinone 12%. That's really high, but I want you to try it for 2 months straight and then stop it." So I ordered it for $60. This is it right here. You massage it into your melasma at night, wait 5 minutes, cover with moisturizer. I did this for 1 month straight, and this is my before and after of 1 month after using it. I was blown away. Completely shocked. Nothing had worked that quick or that well for my skin. Now, the thing with hydroquinone, again, like I said before, is that you cannot use it long term. There's a chance that you could develop something called ochronosis. My dermatologist has seen this, I believe, twice before in the flesh, and it's horrible. It's when your melasma actually darkens and it can't be reversed. So you have to be very careful using hydroquinone. Using this as instructed is extremely important. I always advise people not to use it more than 2.5 months, and then you take a break. So this was in 2021. I used it for the 2 months and I stopped. Then, because I wasn't even that much into skincare in 2021, I don't think I took care of my skin properly. I certainly wasn't reapplying sunscreen every 2 hours. I wasn't wearing mineral sunscreen yet, which dermatologist and I think mineral sunscreen just protects you better when you have melasma. It gives you that physical blocker that you want for your melasma. So I was like, okay, I have to figure this out. I don't want to be on hydroquinone every few months. I'm not comfortable with that. How do I use it for 2 months and maintain my results for the rest of the year? So About a year and a half ago, Dr. Claire and I figured out my perfect melasma routine, which is, number one, it starts with skincare and it starts specifically with mineral SPF. I wear a mineral SPF every single day. I reapply throughout the day as needed, and I do not go outside without a hat and sunglasses. And the hat I wear is always UPF. I have started wearing UPF clothing, UPF hats. I cannot recommend it enough, especially spring, summer. My melasma was notorious for getting worse. Now that I am really protecting it with mineral sunscreen and UPF hats and clothing, I can tell you that my melasma has not gotten worse even once. I went to Aruba 3 weeks ago. My melasma did not get worse. If anything, it's exactly the same as it was before, which is not really that noticeable. Number two was a light laser treatment every September. And what my derm and I figured out that my skin loves is Fraxel, but a half Fraxel. So Fraxel Dual is these two wavelengths, the 1550 and the 1927, usually 8 passes. The 1550 wavelength, which goes deeper into the skin, my skin does not like. It really messed with my melasma one time when I did it. So we just do what we call a half Fraxel, which is 4 passes of the 1927 wavelength. We are doing that in September to kind of jumpstart my skin, make it nice and clear and beautiful, and prep it for the 2 months of hydroquinone that I follow it with. So this past year, we did, I believe around September 15th, we did a half Fraxel. I waited until, of course, I was fully healed and peeled, and then I started my muesli, the spot cream, for 2 months. And now here we are 6 months after that half Fraxel and the 2 months of hydroquinone. And look, you cannot really see my melasma that bad. This is usually my worst patch here, and then I kind of have like a half moon shape on my forehead, but you can't really see it that bad anymore. So as for most people, my melasma also gets a little bit more noticeable after the summer. So this is just the perfect routine. We do this little half Fraxel followed by 2 months of muesli, and it is lasting me. The results are lasting me throughout the rest of the year. Now again, if you don't want to use hydroquinone, especially at such a high percentage, I really do like Centase Cysteamine Cream. I really do like Cispera, and my derm and I always recommend always try topical first for your melasma. Try a topical treatment before resorting to a laser or a chemical peel. First of all, topical treatments, they're going to be way more affordable. You don't want to waste a ton of money on a laser or a chemical peel that could potentially make it worse or not help at all. Always try topical first before resorting to an in-office treatment. And if you don't want to try either of these, you can also try azelaic acid at a high percentage. There are a lot of brands that are coming out with these 10% azelaic acid treatments. Personally, that doesn't work well for my skin. Azelaic acid really irritates me, turns me bright red, makes me itch. So hydroquinone and cysteamine are still my top two. I would say hydroquinone number 1, cysteamine number 2, and then, azelaic acid and other topical treatments would be number 3 for me. So I feel like, at least for me, I have really cracked the code of how to maintain my melasma throughout the year. Let me know if this was helpful, or if there's something that you use that you love, or if you want me to talk more about melasma. I've struggled with it for 10 years, and this is the first period of like the past 2 years or so that I'm like, oh, I don't really worry about my melasma anymore. I don't really have melasma. I figured out what works for me. I think that's the hardest thing, figuring out what works for your skin. So let me know if you have questions, and I will see you later. Bye.